Hey there, and welcome. Look, whether you're running a business here, part of an international mission, or maybe you're just visiting, you might actually be owed some money. Yep, we're talking about tax refunds. And in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how to get that cash back in your pocket.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever filed your taxes, looked at the final number, and just had that nagging feeling, wait a minute, did I pay too much? Well, if you have, don't worry. That money isn't just gone forever. The great news is you might be able to claim it back.
Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, what even is a tax refund? Then we'll dive into the specifics for local businesses, for special groups like diplomatic missions, and for international visitors. And you'll definitely want to stick around for the end, where we cover the key rules that everybody needs to remember.
All right, let's get right into it. Before we get into all the nitty-gritty of who gets what, we got to start with the basics. So what exactly is a tax refund?
You know, at its heart, it's a really simple idea. A tax refund is just the government giving you your own money back. Why? Because you paid more than you were actually supposed to. It's kind of like when you pay for something with a bigger bill. You get change back, right? It was your money all along.
So, you might be wondering, how does this even happen? Well, there are basically three main scenarios. First, you file your tax return and discover you have what's called a net credit balance. Fancy term, but it just means your account with the tax authority is in the green. Or it could be as simple as you accidentally paid more than your final bill. The third way is having a VAT credit balance, which means you've paid out more in value-added tax than you've actually collected from your customers. If any of those sound familiar, you could be in line for a refund.
Okay, let's start getting specific, and we'll begin with local businesses. Now, the official term you'll hear is taxable persons. So if you're running a company here in the Kingdom, listen up, because these next few slides are for you.
For businesses, the whole thing is pretty straightforward, really. It all kicks off when you file your tax return. That's where you first signal, hey, I think I'm owed some money. After that, you put in a formal refund request. Then the tax authority does its homework. They review everything. And once you get that approval, the payment is on its way.
Now, this is where you have a really important choice to make. When you're owed money, you've got two paths. You can get a refund, which is a direct bank transfer, cash in hand, or you can choose to carry forward the credit. This just means you leave the money with the tax authority and they'll automatically use it to pay off your future tax bills. So it really comes down to a cash flow decision. Do you need the money now, or would you rather make future payments a bit easier?
And here's something you absolutely have to keep in mind. The clock is ticking. You have a 5-year window to claim that refund, starting from the end of the calendar year when you overpaid. That's a pretty long time for sure, but it's not forever. Miss that deadline and the chance is gone. All right, let's switch gears a bit. The rules we just talked about for businesses, they don't apply to everybody. There's this whole other category, officially called eligible persons, and they play by a completely different set of rules.
So who exactly is in this special club? Well, we're talking about groups like foreign governments, big international organizations, and diplomatic bodies, think embassies and consulates. It also covers some specific local groups like licensed real estate developers.
And for these folks, the rules are way more specific. They can file their claims quarterly or just once a year, but the deadline is tight, within 6 months of the end of the calendar year. There's also a minimum claim amount of 1,000 Saudi riyals. The upside? Once it's approved, that payment should be processed within 60 days.
And that brings us to our third and final major group, international visitors. This is a really broad category. It includes everyone from tourists on holiday to businesses from other countries operating here.
But here's the thing, you can't just lump them all together. There are actually 3 totally different refund paths for this group. There's one specifically for tourists, there's another one for businesses that are from other GCC countries, and then there's a third for basically all other foreign businesses. Each one has its own unique process.
For any business coming from outside the Kingdom, there's this one huge principle that governs everything: reciprocity. It's a simple idea, really. To be able to claim a tax refund here, your home country has to offer a similar deal to Saudi businesses over there. It's all about fairness, a two-way street.
Okay, now for tourists, the process is completely different. You don't deal with the tax authority directly at all. Instead, it's handled by authorized third-party companies. It works like this. You go shopping, you hold on to those tax invoices, then, and this is crucial, while you're still in the Kingdom, you go to one of these providers to apply. They handle all the paperwork and you get your refund, but they do take a small commission for their service.
Phew, okay, we've gone through the rules for businesses, special groups, and visitors. Now let's wrap this all up with a few key rules that absolutely everyone needs to know. no matter which category you're in.
Let's start with a bit of good news on the timing. Once your refund request has been officially approved, once you get that green light, the authority has to get the payment process started within 60 days. So that gives you a pretty solid timeline for when to expect your money. Now, this one is super important. Think of it as a warning. Get your own house in order first. When you ask for a refund, they're going to look at your entire tax file. If you have any outstanding tax returns that you haven't submitted, they will most likely just reject your request flat out. The message is clear. Be fully compliant before you apply. And finally, you need to understand that the refund might not come straight to you as cash. The authority has the power to offset it. That means they can use your refund money to pay off anything else you might owe them. Could be other taxes, penalties, whatever. So before you get a payout, your refund might be used to clear your slate first.
So there you have it. Whether you're a local business, part of an international organization, or a tourist who just did some shopping, you now know the rules of the game for tax refunds in the kingdom. And with that knowledge, the only real question left is, what's your next step?